What's up, Eagles Nation? Um, yeah, I know. It's tough. It's a tough one for sure. Eagles go down 20-14 in the Superdome in New Orleans, and season ends. No defending champ. No repeat championship. Um, obviously, much different ending. This season than a year ago. But you know what? I do want to start this video by saying thank you to the Eagles for the run. Of course, last season, what it meant, how great that was. And the reason it meant so much to us as a fan base for all these other fans that you guys celebrate too much. Well, it's because most seasons we've had to end like this. So that's why that means and will always mean, what it does to us. Even if this team does go on, and I hope they do, to win more Super Bowls in years to come. I mean, we're always going to remember Super Bowl 52 because it was the first Super Bowl championship. And when you go through years of losing seasons or losing in the playoffs, I mean, I've seen this team lose in 4 NFC Championship games, 4 of them. I've seen them lose, and their fan bases that might not have seen their team play in 4 conference championship games, their whole life. And I've seen this team lose in 4 of them in my time, but I know what it is to win. I know what it is to lose, and it sucks to lose. But sports is like this. It's going to be moments. There's opportunities and moments, and it's what you do with those opportunities and moments that you're either going to win or you're going to lose. They won a Super Bowl last year. They made the most of the opportunities that they had. They made their own opportunities in the season, in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl, and they won. This year, opposite. And I know they went on a run. It was a little unexpected as the calendar changed to December. I mean, after they lost that Dallas game, in Dallas on the deflection, on the Rasul Douglas deflection into the hands of Cooper, who goes in for a touchdown. If you were to tell me then we're going to be playing and we're going to be 6 points away from the Saints, a team that beat us 48-7 in New Orleans months ago, if we were going to be toe-to-toe with that team and a chance to win that game on our last possession, I wouldn't have believed it. Not the way we were going at that point, but you know what? They found a way. And the one thing I know about this team is they don't quit. There's no quitting this team. And, I respect that with them. I've seen a lot of Eagles teams over the years, they've quit. They gave up. We remember the Chip Kelly years. We remember the end of the Andy Reid regime. I mean, I've seen Eagles teams quit and give up, and they didn't. And you know what? They fought. They fought to save that season, and they did. They made the playoffs. They got a little help, with the Vikings losing the last week. But, the Eagles made their own luck. They won the games they had to win. They got in. We had a crazy game last weekend against Chicago, the double doink game. Won that game somehow, some way. Had a chance tonight. I will say this. I said before this game, it's not going to be the same Eagles team as the Saints saw, some months ago, and it wasn't. I mean, the Eagles jumped on them. They didn't carry that momentum through the next 3 quarters. Unfortunately, it was a winnable game. It was. They just made mistakes. Yeah, mistakes. Unfortunately, the warts of the defense play calling kind of came up a couple times there. 3rd and 16, 3rd and 13, couldn't get off the field. You can't do that against a team like the Saints. And I said this last week. I said you can't turn the ball over and you can't make those type of mistakes, and that's what they did. I mean, the Nick Foles interception, when he underthrew, Zach Ertz, Nick Foles wasn't sharp tonight. Tonight you kind of saw the bad Nick Foles. Unfortunately, because most of his playoff career he's played good. And unfortunately tonight, after the first quarter, he just wasn't on. He missed a lot of throws. He underthrew a lot of throws. He missed some open receivers. There were some, misses there that he was making before. And I think it's a shame in a way because, excuse me, this is probably going to be his last game as an Eagle starter. And I will tip the hat and thank him for all that he's done. The Super Bowl MVP, beating Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, and just, the Philly special, everything that kind of came with that. And even this year, again, going on a miraculous run, he'll always be remembered. But this is Carson's team, going forward. And I'm comfortable as an Eagles fan in saying that. I know that this is a hot topic, but hot button topic. It's going to be discussed a lot. I really don't kind of look forward to that, but it is. But I know going forward that this is Carson Wentz's team. And listen, he's a young quarterback. He has things to learn. He's got to learn to, throw the ball away from time to time, not take the bad sack, hold on to that ball, don't get stripped as much, tunnel vision, the mistakes that he made this season that you really didn't see last season. And I think that's the one thing that some fans forget is how great he looked last season. Before he went down with the knee in L.A., he was the league MVP. And a big reason why this team had the home field advantage in the playoffs last year is because of Carson Wentz. I mean, he was that good. He was that good. And he had an off season going into that year where he wasn't rehabbing anything. Remember, when he came in as a rookie even, Sam Bradford was here. And it wasn't until just before the season began Sam Bradford was traded to the Vikings, and Carson became the number, was named the starter. So he really didn't have a full offseason then as being a number one. Then that offseason he did. He wasn't rehabbing anything. He knew he was the number one starter. He practiced everything that went into offseason regiments as a starting quarterback in the National Football League. He did. And that season, he would have been the MVP if he doesn't get hurt. Then he does get hurt. The knee, he had to rehab the following offseason. He never really had a full, true offseason as a, number one, going through the OTAs, going through training camp and the preseason and everything. And, first 2 games of the season even he didn't start. So he came in week 3, still not 100%, but he played. He put up decent numbers. When he was in there, he didn't have that signature drive or whatever to come back and win, but he did a lot of good, and I do believe that part of the issues were, he made his mistakes, but I think there was a lot of play calling issues in there, and I think the offensive line wasn't protecting as well for him. My voice is a little because of the game. Wasn't protecting as well for him as it was for Nick Foles. And I think there is a bit of false sense of security if you're an offensive line when you have a mobile quarterback. Because you think every now and then, if you miss a block or something, the quarterback can get away and keep plays alive. And with Nick Foles, obviously, that's not the case because he's a pocket passer. So it's like the offensive line has to be a little more... I don't know if it's a mentality thing or whatever. You have to block a little better or whatever it is, but they did. I mean, they were playing their best football in December and into the playoffs here. Even tonight, I think they had a pretty decent game. I mean, Nick was just missing throws. He was missing some plays that were there to be made. And it sucks, but it is what it is. But going forward, like I said, I think, this is Carson's team, and he'll be the starter next season and for the foreseeable future. Are there things he has to get better at? Absolutely. But he's a young quarterback. You name me a young quarterback that doesn't make mistakes the first how many years of their career. They all have to improve. I mean, even the guys you see this year doing great, Mahomes and them, there's still things that they're going to have to improve on going forward. Because defenses are going to catch up to you. They're going to adjust, and then you have to adjust to them. And see, that's the thing with Carson. Now he has to adjust to those defenses adjusting to him. And I believe he will. I think he has that mentality. I think he has that intestinal fortitude, to be better, to rise to the occasion. and to be a dynamic quarterback the way he was last season. I can easily see him next season with a full off season, not rehabbing anything, knowing that he's the number one, whatever, going through an off season with the OTAs, with the training camp, with the preseason, blah blah blah, going into next season and then being better for it. Being that quarterback that we saw on the field last season, and even this year he put up good numbers. I mean, he wasn't horrible. He wasn't the worst quarterback in the league. There were mistakes made. I mean, look, this team's got to get off to better starts offensively. That's no doubt about that. Doug's got to get better too, play calling with that too. That was part of the problem for the offense this year. And yes, that does fall on Carson, but I think it goes across the board. Offensive line's got to protect. Receivers got to get open. Players got to make plays. A lot of the blame goes on the quarterback, but it goes across the board. Players got to make plays. The play calling's got to be there. The offensive line's got to block. And your players, when you throw the ball, your receivers got to make the catch. Now, yes, he does have to improve on things. He can't be tunnel vision. He's got to get better at his pocket awareness. Too often he holds on to the ball too long. He's got to get better at that. You see the great quarterbacks, what do? They get rid of the ball. They get rid of the ball. Even if it's a throwaway, live for that next down, right? Don't take that bad sack. When it's 2nd and 8, don't take that bad sack, so now it's going to be 3rd and 18. That's not helping anything. So learn to throw the ball away every now and then. It's not the worst thing in the world. I know quarterbacks hate that because it messes with their rating and their completion percentage. It's all about it's a stats-driven world, right? The analytics and everything, I know. But those are things that he's got to work on, and he was doing really good with that. Hey, look, he didn't have tunnel vision last season. He wasn't just throwing the ball to Zach Ertz. Now this year, a lot of those targets went to number 86. It's one of the big reasons why he has the tight end record now for receptions in the season. But Carson's got to get better at that. Do I believe he will? Yes, because I saw him last year spread the ball around as good as any quarterback in the league. As good as any of them in the league. So I don't think that this is a thing that we have to worry about going forward. I think this is something he understands he has to get better at, and I think he will. I believe he will. And I do believe he's the right guy to be the quarterback here. Now, look, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, Jacksonville can throw a package at us the way the Vikings threw at Dallas those many years ago for Herschel Walker. And we could be looking at a different kind of situation. Hey, how many number one picks and we'll give up Fournette and Ramsey. Well, yeah, the Eagles will probably have to think about it then. But anything shy of that, yeah, Carson's going to be the guy, and I believe rightfully so. It's not a knock on Nick. I'm not a Nick Foles hater. Okay, I fully appreciate what he's done for this franchise. Not just winning the Super Bowl last year, which of course was the pinnacle, but what he did going on the run this season, what he did, the 27-2 year, 7 touchdowns in one game on the road in Oakland. I mean, many, moments, division title winning, in Dallas to finish off the season that year. There's been many moments with Nick Foles and Eagles Midnight Green, but going forward, I do believe it's Carson's team, and I think that's the right decision to make, and I think that's the decision that they will make. I think, there's the fans that say, well, why don't you just keep both? Well, that's a lot of money, and I know it's not our money, but that's a lot of money to tie up in one position when you're going to have to replace guys. And let's make no mistake, I mean, the success of this team, yes, a lot of it falls on the quarterback, but you have to be strong on defense. Your offensive line has to be good. You have to have weapons. And for this team to do that, you can't just tie up all the money at one position. You see that handcuff of other teams. And yes, there's some great quarterbacks that are getting paid. But you talk about the problems they're having in Green Bay and some of these other places where all that money is being allocated to one position and they can't replenish other positions, and what happens, right? We don't want that. And I know going forward there's going to come a time where they're going to have to pay Carson, particularly if his career continues to, go up. The better he plays, the more money he's going to make. And that just goes with the position. You see, Tom Brady takes pay cuts, but not everyone does that. That's just a unique situation they have in New England. Being married to a supermodel probably helps too. But that's the position that they have, and they're very fortunate with that. So they don't tie up all their money with Tom Brady, but they're able to replenish other areas, and this team's going to have to. And like I said, I thank those players who will no longer be here who helped us win that Super Bowl last year and gave us a fun little ride again, an unexpected ride this year. I mean, guys like Nick Foles, guys like Chris Long, who probably might not be back next season. I mean, you talk about a Hall of Fame person. He might never ever have a bust in Canton, but the things that he does and the difference that he makes in other people's lives is just incredible. There's a great story about him on NFL Network. Is this a special that was made about what he did? I believe it was in Africa, if I'm not mistaken, over in the off season. The things that he was doing there. Just a incredible person. But Jason Peters, future Hall of Famer, he may have played his last game tonight. I know he got hurt. There's a lot of guys got hurt tonight. But he goes down. He may have played, more than likely played his last game as a pro. Darren Sproles could have played his last game as a pro. Possible future Hall of Famer. And even, guys who probably, like I said, like Long, who probably will never have a bust in Canton, but meant a lot for this team. I mean, Brandon Graham may have played his last game as an Eagle. And you talk about a guy who paid his dues in this league for many years before he, found himself as an NFL player and made one of the signature defensive plays in franchise history. I still have the picture up on the wall of him strip sacking Tom Brady in Super Bowl 52. We'll always remember him for that. So yeah, Brandon, may have played his last game as an Eagle. There are other players too, but, we can never forget what they did, what they meant for the franchise, and what they helped us do last season. We all got our dream last season. It finally came true after all those years of suffering and close calls, and that's why it meant so much to us. I've heard from other fans say, oh, you all celebrated too much and blah, blah, blah. Look at you. Well, yeah, most of our years ended like it did tonight, so that's why it meant so much to us last year. And make no mistake, this team means the most to us. We are Eagle fans through and through. This team, look, they can win a Super Bowl like they did last season. They can lose like they did this year. They might not make the playoffs like in other years, but you know what? We're always there. We're always going to ride with this team through thick and thin. And there's been a lot of thin over the years with this team, but we're always there. And that's one of the things I love about being a fan of this team, not just being a fan of this team, but being part of this Eagles fan community, being with other fans, being part of a fan base that is very passionate, that cares about this team, that cares about what this team does in the off season. It never ends. Just because the season ended tonight in New Orleans, it's not over. There's still an off season to talk about. There's the draft. There's free agency. There's this. There's that. There's a lot of quarterback talk. We can keep going, but you know what? That's just what it is. And it does. Why is it that way? Because this fan base cares about this team, and they've cared about this team when they wore the Kelly Green uniforms or when they wore the Midnight Green uniforms. They've cared about this team. It's part of the fabric of this community. I know we've had many, many Eagle fans that are very diehard, passionate fans that don't live in this area. And I'm not discounting any of you, so don't take this way. But, I'm one of those Eagle fans that live here. I live 25 minutes outside the city limits. And I see what this team means for this community. And particularly when they're going on runs like they did last season to the Super Bowl and then this season with the unexpected run that they went on from December on. And you see what it means. And you see, what it means to the community for the team to have success. And when they don't have success, you see the other side of it. Everyone complains about what they could be doing better. But it's because we care about this team. It's a football town. And Eagle fans who don't live here, it's the same mentality. They care about this team. You have these other fan bases that kind of pop up when times are going good. And when times aren't going good, you don't see them. Or maybe they wear bags on their heads or whatever it is. This fan base cares about this team. Through the worst of seasons. And not that long ago, it was bleak. I mean, you talk about the end of those Chip Kelly years. Oh, I mean, you talk about some of the hardest times it was to be a fan of this team. When they got rid of all their talent. Oh, just the mad scientist stuff that he was doing, and then the non-compete levels this team had during those years, at the end of those seasons, and just the horrible games we saw his last season here at the end. How horrible was that? At the end, I was at one of those games against the Cardinals. I mean, you talk about as low as you can get, but the fan base is always there. They care. You know, we get called a lot of things and this, that, and the other. Part of the reasons I wanted to make this series 5 years ago was just to show people what it is to be a fan of this team. You know I'm not as well known in the circle of other Eagles vloggers on YouTube, and people, are more known than me. That doesn't, mean anything to me. The success of others is fine. I don't, have to be the most successful vlogger. I just want to show people that, my fandom for this team. And through 5 years now, you've seen everything. You've seen non-playoff years. You saw a Super Bowl. You saw this year with the run and then losing in the playoffs to the Saints. I mean, you've seen a lot in 5 years. And that's just 5 years. That's a 5-year, time capsule for me being a fan. I've been a fan of this team since 92, 93. When they wore the Kelly Grays. This was the first year I could really remember, being, following the Eagles a bit, and, getting into that and getting into football and having to learn the game. And, why are these, people doing this and that? Well, but it's been a love affair that's taken me from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. But I'm always going to be there, just as all the other members of Eagle Nation. Year after year, we're there, and every year we all have hope that our team can do it at the end. And it's only happened once, but the hope is always there. And the passion, I think, above all else, is always there. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, to be an Eagle fan, you have to deal with disappointment. You got to deal with tough times. You got to deal with tough games. But you're still there. You're still there, whether you grew up watching games at the Vet or at Franklin Field, or Lincoln Financial Field now, whatever it is, or you're like me that watches most of the games from home here in the man cave. We all have our routines. We all have our little traditions, and it's year after year after year. And, it's the stories that we're able to tell with one another and show here on platforms like YouTube that, it is a great thing. And I wouldn't rather be a fan of any other team. I know there are other teams that have more success, and certainly their fan bases are treated a little... are getting confetti thrown on them at the end more than maybe me. But you know what, I'd rather not be a fan of any other team, because I love being an Eagles fan. I live in this area. This community is in my blood. This is where I am. This is home. And the teams here matter to me, as they matter to anyone else who lives here. Most other people, besides those cockroach local Dallas fans. Well, we won't be hearing from them. Because they lost too, so we don't have to hear from them till next season. But I know our teams let us down a lot, but you know what? It makes those moments when we finally do it matter that much more, mean that much more. I hope the Sixers continue to go on the progression. It would be nice if they can beat some of the other good teams in the Eastern Conference every now and then. I mean, I'm just saying. But, they need to get some bench help. Hopefully they do. Hopefully they can continue to go up the ladder. The Phillies, they talked about spending stupid money. I want to see it. I want to see them get Machado and Harper. It's not my money. I don't care. Throw it. Throw it at these players. I want to see this team get better. And if it's not just going to happen in the minor leagues, you need to go get talent. And they have an opportunity to do it. Go do it. I don't want to hear excuses. Go do it. Seems the Yankees are backing out, so now go do it. Don't lose them to the White Sox. Go do it. The Flyers, Yeah, that might take a little doing. But you know what? I've seen teams turn around quick in the NHL. You can do it. You got to get the right coach. You got to get the right players. They got the right mascot, it seems. They've at least done that right this year. But besides that, it's been. But that's Mark M. He does his season of the fan for the Flyers. But hopefully they can, get better one of these years. I mean, Jesus, it's been so long since we've had playoff success, for God's sakes. I mean, it would be fun if we can get, into the party the way the Western PA team has done. And can we finally win an outdoor game? Can we just... I know this is a losing season, but the stadium series that's coming up in the end of February when we play the Penguins, can we finally just win one of these outdoor games, Flyers? Can we finally just do that? I'm not asking for much. Just saying an outdoor game. Just give us one. Not going to make the playoffs this year, but at least let us get the outdoor game. Let's get off the schneid with that, for God's sakes. But anyhow, yeah, I mean, look, I hope I hope the the Flyers do have success. I mean, going forward, I want them to. It sucked, watching them just continue to fail and just lose game after game, and just this group, and changes have to be made. I hope they make them. I hope they get a good coach this offseason and they can get going. We've been in quicksand seemingly for many years. But for the Eagles, listen, there are going to be some tough decisions made this offseason, and then there's going to be players that they're going to have to replenish. And we have to believe in the brain trust here, and Howie Roseman and Joe Douglas and the powers that be, that they can get it right. I mean, for the most part, they have. I think the other thing we know is, and as we saw the difference between last season and this season, home field advantage. Like I said before, if I forget if I already made mention of this or not, it is so important. I know there's been teams like the Giants and the Packers that have gotten in and won on the road and went to have success, but it doesn't always work that way. And you see some of these teams, like the Patriots, it's like every year they have home games in the playoffs. That's one of the reasons that they have the success they do. It's very important that the Saints, I mean, that home dome advantage that they have, not losing a playoff game for how many years at home. The same thing, and for the Eagles, we saw that last year. We had 2 home games to win to get to the Super Bowl. They did that to their credit, and they went to win Super Bowl 52. So next season, I think the mantra for this team is we got to retake this division, the NFC East. We got to retake it from Dallas. We got to get the home field advantage. We got to get that first round bye. And if anything else, get a divisional game at Lincoln Financial Field. And then you know what? You take your chances. If it's on the road in LA or back in New Orleans or whatever, you take your chances. But at least we got to get that division title and that first round bye, because that's a big help. And you see that for teams year after year. We benefited from it last year. Didn't quite go our way this year. But hopefully next season we can get that back. That's got to be something that they got to strive for. They let it get away this year. They lost games. Hey, it got lost in the run this team went on from December, but there were some tough losses for this team during the season that if it would have gone the other way, maybe things are different. Maybe we're at home in the divisional round. Or if anything else, maybe we're playing at LA last night instead of, the Saints tonight. Who knows? Look, it was still a winnable game today. They didn't make the plays that we saw them make in the last month. They had the ball at the end with a shot. And as a fan, that's what I got to hope for. Give me a shot. It didn't go our way. But give me a shot. I'll take that shot. Much rather than being blown out, having no shot at all, and kind of going through the second half of the game like, But listen, it sucks, it hurts, but I know that I do believe we're still in good hands, going forward, and I believe that the decisions that this team's going to have to make, they'll make, and they'll be in the hunt again next season. And for the foreseeable future. I do think the future's still bright with Carson Wentz at quarterback. Doug Peterson, I mean, there's lessons learned from this season, and they got to learn them. Move on next season, it has to be different. It's going to be tough. Absolutely going to be tough. There's going to be some leaders on this team not here. New leaders have to emerge. And the corrections have to be made. The mistakes of this year have to be corrected. Getting off to faster starts in games. Defensively. Look, 3rd and longs, you got to get off the field. The picket fence defense. I know Jim Schwartz is a stubborn man, but some of these defensive schemes, I mean, you talk about some, I mean, when it doesn't work, you can't just keep going to it. But it is what it is. What can we do about it now? Eagles go down 20 to 14 at New Orleans in a game that was winnable. But you know what? Unlike a couple months ago, they showed up to this game. They were there. And unfortunately, they didn't finish it. But they belonged on the field with the Saints tonight. They didn't belong on the field with the Saints a couple months ago, but they belonged on the field in the divisional round with that team tonight. And unfortunately, it didn't go their way. Saints are going to now host the Rams. You know what? I think if anything else, it sets up for a good championship Sunday. I think that both games are going to be good. Kansas City hosts New England. We'll see if Andy can finally get the better of Belichick there. And then you got the Saints and the Rams playing in what could be a high-scoring game. So, you know, I think it still sets up for a good championship Sunday. Unfortunately, we're not in it. I would have much rather been in it than not. But you know what? Again, looking back now as we have to as a fan base, I just want to express my heartfelt thanks to this team. I really do. Because the last couple years that they gave me as a fan, I really appreciate it. You know, winning a Super Bowl, obviously, that goes without saying. But this year, when they could have laid down and died, they didn't. They showed fight. They showed, resolve. And they found a way. They found a way to make it back in the playoffs, win a playoff game, have a chance tonight. I mean, man, they had a chance tonight. And that's what sucks about it, I know. We had a chance to win that game, and we didn't. But you know what? Again, I thank them. Because I've seen other years where it went the other way. We're not even making the playoffs, not even having any kind of success. So I appreciate this, and I appreciate those players who might not be here anymore who helped this team do what they did a year ago and helped them go on a run this season. It is appreciated. And I know this team's going to look different next season. Things always change. The fans are always here, but the team's going to look a little different, and I understand that. I look forward to the next season. I will continue to bring this season of the fan series for YouTube. Whether I get a lot of views or not, I don't care. I'm a fan of this team. That's what matters to me. I make these videos because I enjoy doing it. And I'm not an expert. I don't work for any network, or I don't do any, online blogs or anything. I don't do any of that. But I'm a fan. I watch every game, and I give you a reaction to every game here on YouTube. I know I go on long every time. But I love doing this because I love this team and I'm a fan, and I'm going to be a Philadelphia Eagles fan till the day I'm no longer with us. But rest assured, every year, every season, you're going to see me. This series is going to continue every season, whether it ends the way it did last season, or whether it ends the way it did this season, or whether it ends the way it did early in the years when I was doing it with no playoffs at all. You will see me every season. You will see me after every game. You have my guarantee for that, whether you like it or not. I'm going to try to break it down as best I can after every game. Disappointing games, great games, whatever it is. And I look forward to next season. I will be back. This series will return for season number 6 of Season of the Fan. It won't have a nice ring to it as this one did. But you know what? This team still has things to build on and improve. I look forward to what they do this offseason. I know that we're going to come back strong next season. Going to come back and hope, like I said, hopefully reclaim that division from Dallas and hopefully get a first-round bye. Because as we saw this season, it's important. It helps. If anything else, to have a home playoff game for the divisional round, and then you take your chances, even if you don't for the championship game, but you take your chances in it. Let's hope that this team can get back to doing that. And you know what? As always, I'll finish this video as I finish all of my vids here for the Season of the Fan series. This season ended tonight in New Orleans, and it was rough, and it was a disappointing ending. It was heartbreak at the end. But you know what? I, as well as all Eagle fans out there, will be there again next season. We're going to ride with this team every year, no matter what, because that's what we do. People, whether they like it or not, we're going to give you our opinions about this team. We love this team, and they don't always come through for us in the end, as we saw tonight. But the moments when they do, like last season, that's why it means as much as it does to us, because we've had to go through a lot to get to that, and hopefully we don't have to wait another 50 years to get another one. So let's go Birds. As always, big off season, lots of decisions to make, some tough decisions to make, but I believe in the brain trust in this team that they will make the right decisions, and we'll be back fighting for that Lombardi Trophy again next season. All right, Eagles Nation, it was tough tonight, I know. Real tough way to end the season, but you know what? They gave us a nice run at the end. They did fight like the defending champions that they are. It's a shame they just couldn't make those extra plays tonight. But you know what? Is what it is. You still tip the hat to the team. We're very grateful for that Super Bowl last season. Yeah, unfortunately, we won't be there in Super Bowl 53. But we'll hope to get back in Super Bowl 54, and hope to have better things happen in the playoffs next season. Hopefully, even get back to hosting some playoff games. That should be the goal. That's the goal going into next season for this organization, to get back to that, get back to hosting playoff games instead of having to go on the road. All right, everyone, take care. Thanks to all of you for being with me here on yet another Philadelphia Eagles season. I appreciate all of you. To my fellow Eagle vloggers, big shouts to all of you. I know a lot of you continue your content in the off season. I kind of, don't as much. I do other things and whatnot, but you know what? Rest assured, you will definitely see me again as another season starts. The 2019-2020 season. Ooh, boy, and we're closing in on that 100th anniversary season of the NFL next season, right? Next season's the 100th anniversary. Ooh, boy, that's going to be interesting. Can we finally bring back the Kelly Greens? Can we just do that, okay? NFL, I mean, this whole thing with Riddell and the helmets, I get it, but, come on. It's the 100th anniversary of the NFL, okay? Next year. The Eagles have got to be able to wear Kelly Green jerseys at some point next season. Even if it's for like a game or two, they got to wear those throwbacks. They got to wear the old Kelly Greens with the helmets. Okay, so let's make sure that happens next season, okay? Going to see a lot of throwbacks, I'm sure, next season. And me as a Jersey head, yeah, that's a good thing. All right, everyone. Well, like I said, I thank you all for joining me every week with the content in this channel for the Season of the Fan series. I enjoy doing this. It means a lot to me to do it. I'm not perfect at it. Like Carson Wentz, I still have some things to learn. I hold the ball too long. But I do appreciate all the love and the support that I get. Of course, for my buddies, I want to thank you guys for joining me in some of my videos too. Mark M, Tony, the captain, of course, Jason, Big Slim, holding it down for Eagles Nation in Maryland. Big shouts to all of you. Again, to all my fellow Eagle vloggers out there on YouTube, big shouts to all of you. Keep doing your great work. Winning seasons or not, you all do a wonderful job, and your videos are, always, I look forward to watching them. So keep up the great work there. And, to my viewers, to my subscribers, I thank you all. If you're not a subscriber to me so far, what's keeping you? It's a free thing to do. All you do is hit that subscribe button. Make sure to do it. The Season of the Fan series will end tonight, but I do have other series and other things going on, so you might want to, keep tuned to the channel. I'll have some more stuff with jerseys and stuff like that. I know some of my old subscribers remember those days. I do have some jersey content I want to get to and show. this offseason, get involved in some of my other stuff here on YouTube. So I'll do that. And like I said, thanks for joining me with another season. Unfortunately, it didn't end like last season did. Well, that was would have been something. But it is what it is. It's disappointing. It ends in disappointment. But I do have hope for this team going forward. And, we're going to get back there. We're going to get back to it. Just have to make the right moves and have to play more consistently next season in the regular season to be able to have more success in the postseason with that home field advantage. All right, everyone. Well, let's go Birds this offseason. And I will see you all around the channel. All right, everyone. Take care.